Today is Vlogaday 668 in the annals of the Druids.
Morning. It's Tuesday, which makes today right under the Wednesday for you. And I was thinking I'd tell you a story today about my little writing career. It's not much of a writing career, but I've gotten a lot done, and yet not accomplished much at the same time. So we can talk about that. And something came in the mail today.
She gave me an extra tiny little peach for waiting so long.
This guy's struggling. Now the backstory, the full backstory would be that I've written stories ever since I was, I don't know, 5. I wrote my first play, I think in the 1st grade. We actually even produced it in my combined 1st and 2nd grade class, so that's kind of cool. My buddy, I would just sit and write stories Shut up. I would just sit and write stories ever since I was little, right? The inspiration, the desire ultimately for me, I think, was to make movies more than anything. So when it came to write books, the inspiration for that was twofold. The first thing, of course, this is the story that I've shared before, was that I was worried that all these stories that I had banging around in my head might vanish if I got cerebral malaria and died. I was on my way to West Africa at that point via South Africa. I just thought, you know what, like, I gotta get these stories out. I don't know, I just had a moment where I tasted mortality, I guess, and a little bit dramatic, but at the same time, you know, reasonable enough. And the other thing, if I'm being honest, was also money. I thought for sure, somehow, writing a book was gonna end up generating a good chunk of change, and I wouldn't have anything to worry about as I volunteered in West Africa for a couple of years. That was naive. It was definitely a motivation that I had to deal with over time.
We're gonna get lunch.
Hey everybody.
Hi, I don't even know how that was framed. And then get back to, I'm talking about my pseudo writing career today.
Hey, you got a lot done today, so.
I did get a lot done today, actually. I outlined 5 chapters, which is good. Being productive, and that's another thing I was gonna talk about soon. But first, lunch. So the tragedy, if you've been wanting to try Oni, or not Oni, I'm going to Oni now. The tragedy, if you've been wanting to try W for Wok, which is delicious, is that they're closing it in a month. They're gonna reopen it as a different restaurant, which actually sounds really good. It's gonna be like the street food that I was introduced to their cooking on the Fête de la Musique. If you wanna check out my Fête de la Musique video, you'll see it there. And so Vincent, the owner, was just telling us that change is a-coming. Good and sad. Speaking of change, what changed my mind about thinking that I could make real money writing books was actually writing a bunch of books and selling them and not making much money. And in fact, the deeper you get into publishing and the more familiar you are with the publishing industry, the more you realize there's not a lot of money in it. And unless you're at the top of that game, like so many of the creative arts, you're not gonna be making much money, if any. And I've invested far more money into my writing career than I've made back, which is not a bad thing. I've learned a lot, but I definitely had to come to terms with that. I don't think I particularly thought that I was going to like strike it big. There was a hope in there. There was a dream for sure, a little bit of a pipe dream that I might somehow strike it rich writing books. But in the end, what really forced me to let that go was when I released my 3rd book. Each book out of the first trilogy that I wrote kind of progressively got a little bit more attention and yet somehow sold less every time. It had to do with the changes in Amazon's algorithms and just the flood, the absolute glut of books that were being self-published. That was the first time I lived in Paris, and I definitely had to wrestle with the fact that things weren't going nearly as well as I wanted. Like, not even, I would say, like decently well. Like, they were just kind of like passable. Maybe I was paying my way and that was about it. But the danger, of course, if you have that mentality of like, I don't have money, I need money, I like writing, maybe writing will work out for money, it does end up being a driving factor in your productivity levels. I had the goal of writing a book every year, and publishing a book every year for 10 years, just to make sure that I was actually a decent writer. Like I was just trying to develop my writing ability. But there was a little bit in the back of my head that was like, maybe I'll actually make some money at this. And that's not the best place to be with writing. I think that's not the best place to be with any form of art, because it does muddy the waters some. And as I'm getting established here in Paris, finding my feet, getting settled, understanding the city, like making a life for myself here, and finally actually having some time and some space to myself, which is completely the opposite of where I was at last year. The temptation then is to like take a step back and think, okay, let's take this slowly. From the production side of things, I need to kick it up a couple notches. I need to be writing a lot more, but put those expectations way down and just focus on writing very well, mastering the craft and moving into it from there, instead of just trying to hit certain production volume metrics and goals that I've set for myself that may not actually be all that beneficial.
Things are on the verge of just melting beyond use. Still useful, but not for much longer.
It's also why you take the weather report with a grain of salt. It's supposed to be cloudy today, and I don't have my sunglasses. Anyways, when I released my third book, it flopped, basically. And I really had to grapple with, like, why am I writing? Why am I telling stories? Like, I'm obviously not gonna make any money at this. I'm, you know, putting a lot of work into promoting these and investing in the artwork and whatever else. What good is coming from this? And I really came back to the point that, you know what, I write books because I like writing books. I like telling stories. I'm happy just to do it for its own sake, and I had to go through a little bit of that. And then I kept writing. I wrote those 3 books, which are now unpublished because they definitely need to be reworked. They're not good enough to be on paper. Into the Nanton, obviously, 2 seasons of Into the Nanton, Dark Horse, Shadows of the High Ridge. I wrote the first Courier's book. I wrote Agnar's Box. I wrote the first draft of a book called The Black Knight's Apprentice. A number of different books like that. I just kept writing and kept pumping stuff out and kept working on it and moving on. And I think that the downside, oh, here's a little bit of a fight going on. Definitely a pranky day on the driving side of things. Why drive in this town? That's the question, especially if you've got anger problems. Terrible idea. Don't drive in Paris. So that's a little bit of my history. But all I'm trying to say is that I've got to do a place where I love writing for its own sake. I need to stop pushing myself quite so hard to keep making new stuff. And I really want to take some time to sit down and write something good. Like really good. I'm gonna use the Courier's series, the rest of it is gonna be good, but I'm gonna use that to start implementing a lot of the lessons I've been learning. I've been reading a lot, I've been watching a lot of videos and documentaries and essays on how to write better, how to write for the screen, how to write books, how to write everything, just story in general. And so the goal for me right now is to implement a lot of those lessons, and I'm gonna do that through Courier's, and then come at the grander world that I wanna build, all the stories I wanna write, all the tales I want to tell with like a more finely honed level of craft. I think that's really, really important. And so that's what I want to do. Right now, on the Room de Chateau side of things, I'm gonna go to Espace Loggia, which is who I'm hoping to partner with for the bed situation. I'm gonna go see their showroom in person because I've never seen their beds in person, and it seems like I probably should actually do that before I get too tightly committed to them. Fun to walk around on the left bank a little bit. I hardly spend any time over here, and it's such a different feeling. I love this. I'm actually kind of keeping the left bank for later, you know, like I want to explore it, I want to enjoy it as the right bank becomes too familiar, you know, and I stop appreciating Paris a little bit. Hop over the river and get the most I can out of this side of town, and there's a lot to get out of this side of town. Thankfully, my ceilings are a lot higher than this. Those guys are really freaking nice. The bed is super nice quality. It's all customizable. It's like, I think it's pretty much exactly what I want, and they like secure it to the wall so it's nice and stable. For those of you who are very concerned about the stability, which a number of you have expressed concern about the stability of the bed. So, that's cool. He gave me the direct email of the guy who's in charge of communications and said to give him a ring, the email version of a ring. So I'll drop him a line and we'll see what he says. But I'm hoping we can do something. I really think it'd be interesting to go actually see, because they're made in France, I think it'd actually be really interesting to go and see where they make them. The factory is down near Nantes, and I haven't been to Nantes yet either, so we can make a whole trip out of it. Go see them make the bed
visit Nantes, have a grand old time. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. For now, I need to go home, drop my stuff off, and go for a run, because I haven't gone for a run in like a week, so let's get that taken care of.
Holy crap, Maxime, and we're over. That's where we just crossed the 1,200 goal, which means the next time I travel in France, which I just launched a regional travel poll, $5 and up patrons go vote if you haven't already, I'm renting a car. I might even rent a car here and drive all the way to wherever it is we're going. It's not that far away. Wow, Maxime, wow, she just doubled her pledge to push us right over the edge on that one. Thank you. I'm gonna run much faster now because of that. That's amazing. 4 miles, I have no idea what pace. I got used to running in the heat. It was so cold this morning, and now suddenly, like, toasty. It's great. Welcome to spring. Food poll's almost over too. I'm pretty sure I'm having a picnic in Luxembourg Gardens here in a day or two. Looking forward to that too. Gotta love this weather. All right, gotta get showered up. I need to send this email to Espace Loggia. Hopefully that goes well. Wish me luck. And then Rena's coming over. She saw my when I took myself out for a date, had a little bit of a nacho hack. She's been dying to know what that is. So we're gonna go have a nachos. And then I really need to get back on my diet really badly. Running is good. Fell off that horse, feeling a little bit pudgy. But then I just gotta, cut it out for a little bit longer so I can knock that stupid bottle off the wall when we put the bottle back on the wall. So much to talk about. So many good things going on in life. Just feeling great today. It's a good day. I hope that you enjoyed the video. We'll see how the nachos go, and then we'll probably call it quits at that, because despite the fact that it's still bright outside, it's getting late. One of the glorious parts of spring and summer is, well, yeah. Okay, anyways, I'm gross. Found this one. The hack is, basically, all you do is you go, she's gonna like this and not like this. She's only gonna like this because she's starving, I have a feeling, but you go to Chipotle, okay, and you order a naked burrito and chips. Okay. And then you get them to put as much like cheese and whatever else you want in the bowl, and then you can just eat it all with chips, and it's actually really tasty.
All right.
You set?
I'm
Okay, I'm excited for this. Twice in 1 week. I really need to go back on my diet as soon as possible. The real trick is you have to get a double portion of chips because there just aren't quite enough. She didn't do that, so I have a feeling I'll be sacrificing some of my chips here in a minute. Anyways. Great to see Rena, as always. She helped me. We used our combined French skills to rewrite and finish that letter to Espace Loggia, or Espace Loggia. Don't know how to say the name yet. I've got to figure that out. But feeling very confident about it. Got to go home, make sure it's formatted properly, because somehow that got messed up, and then send it. And we'll see what happens. That's the bed situation on the room to chateau. Anyways, I'm gonna try to walk to the Eiffel Tower. Feeling a little bit sore after my run, actually, just a touch. So we'll see if I make it, but go get one last shot of the Eiffel Tower, at least for my Instagram story, because it's kind of dangerous to take night shots for my vlog, but we'll see what we do. And then I'm gonna live edit, and I'm gonna go to bed. Hope you enjoyed this video, this vlog, this wonderful night out. Very productive day. I'm gonna try and keep that up, and I'll share tomorrow maybe with you a little bit of what I'm doing to up my productivity levels and try to get really back on top of my game here. So see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Good night.